Ah, here again. Oh, thank you, Fedi, for joining in. Um, uh, Thank you, Robert, again for joining in. Thank you, Erica, for joining in. Um, Let me get my sip of tea. You know, in Kenya, for those who are familiar with Kenya, when you are in Kenya early in the morning or at 12 day, they give you coffee, tea. So I'm sure. So we're just celebrating with Kenya tea time because there's not specific. Once you just need to drink the tea. So fellow brothers and sisters, and I want to thank you. There was some interruptions that we had. So hopefully we were able to get through this time without any interruptions. And thank you, Mr. Amber, for joining in. Thank you, Mr. Robert. Thank you, Jackson. Thank you, Erica. And thanks those who are on my YouTube. You know, I'm broadcasting live on the Facebook and I'm also broadcast live on YouTube. So either way, you should be able to get me again. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in. And it's a wonderful having you. And it's a pleasure that we move forward with the Federal Republic of Ambazonian sovereignty. And thank you, Joe Nanda, for joining in. And if you just join in, make sure you share. It is imperative that we have this message going. And you can always get me live on my YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you again for joining in. And I'm going to be your host here in the United States. My name is Funton Daniel. And if you are in La Republique, you are in ground zero, wherever you are, I just want to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining in. Thank you, Susan, for joining in. Thank you, Divine, for joining in. Thank you, Jerry, for joining in. Thank you, Sherry, for joining in. Thank you, Ashu Kemita, for joining in. And as I will be going on the breaking news, if you have some ideas that you think, let me see. Thank you for joining in. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Akinola. Did I pronounce it well? I apologize for the name. I was speaking the issues of Ambazonia school resumptions, and that is what I emphasize. I know it's a burning issues, and that many people are wondering whether school should or shouldn't resume. It is a burning question, and you will agree with me that everyone wants school resumptions. And but we have to ask ourselves on under what criteria school resumptions is going to be a foreign nations that we allow to manage our education system, a neighboring country to coordinate our education system. You know, many of you hasn't accepted the reality now moving forward. Many of you are still in doubt. Many of you are still wondering, where do I belong? Because I have already know where I belong. I don't know about you. I already know where I belong. I belong to an Ambazonian. I belong to the Southern Cameroon. I belong to a territory that the sovereignty was recognized in 1969, and that they have deviated from the original truth. And that is where we are speaking about a sovereignty of the Federal Republic of Ambazonian. Article 76, Article 1608 XV of the United Nations 1961 granted the sovereignty of the people of Ambazonia. So we simply restore that independence. And so we are no longer part of La Republique. We are no longer part of La Republique. La Republique penetrated in our territory. We are classified La Republique as a terrorist, and they are invading our sovereignty. I am making this statement clear. La Republique is not part of Southern Cameroon. La Republique is not part of the independent sovereignty of La Republique. La Republique has their own independence that was declared. The fact that we were cohabiting, we will no longer cohabit in that relationship. As many of you are still frustrated, you are still undecided where you belong. But I am here to make you understand that the sovereignty of Ambazonia, the Federal Republic of Ambazonian, is now a sovereign nation. So La Republique is no longer part of Southern Cameroon. And so any member of La Republique that is trespassing into the Southern Cameroon is violating the sovereignty of the Southern Cameroon. And that is why I keep on emphasizing, because there are many individuals that they haven't accepted the reality, and that is why we are moving forward with our sovereignty. And so any unfriendly manifestation carried on by La Republique in our sovereignty, we are asking the world to understand that we have absolutely moving forward. And those who are still wondering and still hasn't decided and haven't made up their mind and still thinking that we somehow is going to be rely on La Republique, we are doing every measures to ensure that our independence that was granted be fully recognized. And so therefore, as I'm speaking here, I am bringing this attention to the rest of the world community to understand their obligation necessary. Obligation necessary implies that the world must respect. United States is applying obligation necessary to other nations, and so we must apply obligation necessary. So we have not, in any circumstances, we will not tolerate La Republique terrorists to penetrate in our sovereignty and destabilizing the effectiveness on peace-loving people of the Southern Cameroon. And so any individual that is collaborating with La Republique in other circumstances, we have make you understand that we know where you are, we know where you reside, we will do whatever it takes. If anyone that is dealing with La Republique, I can assure you, we know where you are, we know what is your capability and what you're up to. So we are making clear now, henceforth, the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon is now a sovereign nation. We will not, in any circumstances, we will not collaborate, we will not tolerate, we will not deal with La Republique. And so any individual in the Southern Cameroon territory that is taking advantages, and that we are letting you know that the message is clear. We stand for the sovereignty, and we will use all our available resources at our disposal, and we reinforce the sovereignty, that the declaration that we made, and that we will stand by that declaration. So if you as an individual, you want to see what happens, I'm sure it already began to happening. But if you want to take advantages, and that you want to use, that you have ears, and that you can listen, and you can pay attention, we are going to let you understand, because you will be the sacrificial lamb, because our message is making you understand that the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon is now an independent nation, and in any circumstances, the Southern Cameroon will not collaborate with a terrorist government of La Republique. La Republique independence was granted in 1960. And when in that process, when the independence of La Republique was granted, Southern Cameroon was not part of La Republique. The fact that we are cohabiting relationship. Cohabiting means you met a woman on the street, and both of you decided to come together. Coming together doesn't give you a wedding certificate. Coming together doesn't allow you a marriage. Coming together don't give you a full leadership control in every aspect of the life. And so therefore, I am speaking here, making the world to understand that Federal Republic of Ambazonian is now a sovereign nation. So La Republique, the terrorist organization that independence was granted, that the independence was granted in 1960. And the Southern Cameroon independence was granted in 1961. Neither do La Republique was part, neither do Southern Cameroon was part of La Republique, neither La Republique was part of Southern Cameroon. The fact that we cohabiting, as I earlier said, that when two women choose to live together, when two choose to live together, it doesn't give them a marriage certificate. United Nations is the person that authorized marriage certificate, and he issued one marriage certificate in 1960 for a neighboring country, La Republique. And in 1961, a marriage certificate was given to the nation of Southern Cameroon. That doesn't give La Republique a control over the Southern Cameroon. In fact, we enjoy democratic form of government. We enjoy an elected officials. La Republique in the past, since since French government ought to indicate that La Republique can become a nation. La Republique in no circumstances has demonstrated that they can organize a meaningful election with a government. That is why there's one person that was supposed to bring in, although I didn't announce him. He is a key figure that understands this terrorist government of La Republique. And I'm sure I didn't have the opportunity to bring him. But he's residing in France. But I'm still working on how to bring him. He has many philosophy and background knowledge about the relationship between the terrorist La Republique and the Federal Republic of Ambazonian. But once I've been able to get the link with him, and we established that link, not today, but some days to come. And he is also watching us as I'm speaking live here. He is also watching us. But he's like a reference dictionary about the Federal Republic of Ambazonia and the terrorist organization of La Republique. But I will have an opportunity, and when I have that opportunity, I will give you information so that you might be prepared and be able to listen to him live. But however, the Federal Republic of Ambazonia had their independence, and their independence was granted. And our people cannot be living in fears by a terrorist organization called La Republique. You know, our people deserve better. Our people are well educated. They have been all the highest level. Why should we become managed by a terrorist government of La Republique? No. I am adamantly said no. We are a nation and we are at war. And the terrorist organization of neighboring country La Republique is invading our territory, terrorizing our people. We have this. So when we were with the Enugu House of Assembly in Nigeria, when our leadership choose to vacate the relationship with Nigeria, Nigerian government did not declare war. It's not the first time that we have cohabiting with the nations. We did cohabit with neighboring countries like Nigeria. And we choose to leave Nigeria. Nigeria did not invade us. Nigeria did not question us. Nigeria did not declare war on us. But we are able to live brotherliness. And we left Nigeria. We form our own government. We are able to elect our leader. First with Endel. Second with Jongu Foncha. Third with Ngumjua. Can La Republique enlist a single individual that they have demonstrated that they were elected by a government and transfer power from one individual to the next? Can La Republique demonstrate? If La Republique can demonstrate this in their own philosophy, let's project it here. Why should we be living with a government that is not accountable? Why should we? We can't live with a government that is not accountable. If we are accountable, we have demonstrated leadership. We demonstrate accountability. We demonstrate that our government is responsible. And that is exhibited by those who have listed. The fact that we have been we have cohabiting with this terrorist organization called La Republique, they have not in any meaningful way demonstrate leadership. They haven't. La Republique hasn't demonstrated that leadership or coherentness, that they are a government that is accountable. You have a stupid individual called Paul Biya, the worst nightmare. Why the people are suffering and 800 are living in the forest. But he's busy in China buying private jet. That is the government that you will want me to associate myself with. When my people are living in the forest, when my people are living without meal, when my people are being shot by a terrorist government, when my people are being struggling, when my people are in Nigeria, they have no food to eat. And when my brothers and sisters are living in Nigeria because they have been dislodged, and the terrorist individual is in China buying private jet. Why the Southern Cameroon citizens have no basically food to eat. And that is the person you will want me to allow the Southern Cameroon territory to be under his leadership, because the world has turned a blind eye. The world don't want to face the reality. The world is just confused. But we are not confused, but we will let the world understand that our sovereignty will not in any circumstances be negotiated with a terrorist government. Pobia is in China. That is where he is. He's 86 years old, but he's shopping for a private jet, private plane to use for his personal family, while our people are living in the forest. They basically don't have food to eat. And that is what you want to tell me, that I should be part of that system. I mean, please don't get me started. Don't get me started. You know, when the people of the Southern Cameroon, through education system, were demonstrating that they need a minimum reform, and that reform is fairness. And even in the United States, there is demonstration asking for fairness. Everywhere, the United States And they recognize the demonstration that is the free will of every individual to ask if they need something needs to be adjusted. Instead, for the government to demonstrate that leadership, that how can we work together to show that exemplary leadership? Instead, we witness a drastic destruction, military barbaric action against our fellow brothers and sisters. And why I am speaking, many of you know that the cabinet of Seseko, within the past several months, many of you are still confused, and some journalists or whatever they call lawyers, they claim they have seen Seseko. Do you believe that Seseko is still alive? If they are alive, let them project his image to show that Seseko is alive. Because you cannot be taking somebody to trial when we can see the person's images. That is why we want a government that is efficient, that is accountable, take responsibility of the reality and be factual. That is the government that I will stand for. That is the government that I'm supporting. That is the government I will initiate. It doesn't matter where they come from. And the government must take responsibility and be able to admit that I have done wrong. I have wronged my people. I am apologizing to my people, and I will stand with my people. That is the government that I'm going to be supporting. That's the government I'm going to be accountable for. That's the government that I will authorize. I would not authorize a dubious government, especially the one that's currently on the neighboring country, La Republique Du Cameroun. Of course, we have a dubious, the worst individuals. They claim they are military general in La Republique. Why would you send military to kill a citizen? The role of the military is to protect the citizens from a foreign aggressor. And if the citizens are questioning your legitimacy, it is your obligation to show to the citizens that I am part of you. And that is the military defense department. But unfortunately, we have a most terrorist military that is more concerned of their own individuality rather than the indigenous of the people. You know, why should La Republique in Southern Cameroon territory terrorizing the people? Our brothers and sisters are languishing in the forest. Our mothers are living in the forest, beaten by mosquitoes, terrorizing the entire atmosphere because they are serving the interests of the French government rather than the interests of the people to whom they were supposed to be accountable. France's president is elected for a period of the term he's been allocated, and he's responsible for that term. And the safety of the French citizen lies on his directive obligations. But in Africa, we have leadership crisis. We have leadership that lack responsibility because they are serving their masters in the foreign nations rather than the indigenous people. While the people are in the forest languishing, the idiot, the stupid idiot, is in China shopping for private jet. Shopping for private jet. And you have the terrorist military waiting for him to return back. Immediately tell him there's one president that was immediately asked to remain where he was, and that the country has been changed. That is a military that is responsible. That is a military that is accountable. That is a military that shows leadership, that I stand as a military on behalf of the people. It would have immediately told Bia, please do not return back because the government has changed. That is the government that will be supporting. That is the government that will tell the brutal dictatorship that as you are in China, the government has changed. You no longer valid because our people is moving forward. That's the government, that's the military that stands for the interest of the people rather than the interest of a single individual. you know, it's, you know, a military, the duty of the military is to protect and provide safety for the citizens. And that citizens, the government, the military is accountable to the citizen because they derive their power from the citizen. But when the citizens choose that, we no longer recognize you as the leadership. It is your duty to present to the people that I acknowledge your concern. I stand with you. What do you want us to move forward? But not a single individual that is commanding the military to destroy the very root to which they derive their power. And the people of Ambazonia, the Federal Republic of Ambazonian, will not be part of that brutal system. We are moving forward. The people of Ambazonia will not be part of that brutal system. And that is why we are moving forward. We are asking United States. We are asking United States mission to the United Nations. United States permanent representative at the United Nations is Nikki Haley. We want you to do the right thing. We are asking Nikki Haley to do the right thing. You are at the helm of the United Nations Security Council. It is the very Security Council that declared the sovereignty of the people of Ambazonia in 1961. And it was led by a dynamic leadership. Now that you have taken the helm of the leadership of the Security Council, we are asking you, Nikki Haley, please do the right thing. Do the right thing. It is the best thing you can do. The citizens of Ambazonia in 1961, United States was part of the decisions that was voted recognizing the state of Ambazonia as a nation. By then it was called the Southern Cameroon. Now it is called the Federal Republic of Ambazonian. And so therefore, we are asking United States, Nikki Haley, to do the right thing. Call for a media session, discuss about our Southern Cameroon, because we are already a nation and we are fortifying our decisions to ensure that our sovereignty is maintained. And La Republique will not be part of our future endeavor. And therefore, we are calling on those individuals So we are calling on those individuals that are working in collaboration with La Republique, that the Southern Cameroon is now a sovereign nation and they are moving forward with their sovereignty. We will not in any circumstances allow La Republique to continue terrorizing our people as we move forward with the definition of our territory. We will ensure that peace and security are maintained in our Southern Cameroon. When La Republique independence was declared in 1960, Southern Cameroon territory was not part of that decisions. Southern Cameroon wasn't. The fact that we are cohabiting with La Republique doesn't give La Republique an authority, audacity to control the aspect of our life. Our children, our brothers, our sisters has an obligation to ask La Republique at what terms are we living together. Just like you met a girl on the street and both of you choose to live together. Here in the state of Texas, they recognize a cohabiting relationship. A cohabiting relationship when a wife or a girl choose to live with a man without necessarily being married. And so they have the right to their obligations to choose to separate. Even if they are married, they have an obligation to decide that that marriage doesn't work and that we can live alone. And it is the world to recognize that we are supposed to do so. So our sons and daughters have demonstrated, not only here in the United States, around the world, that we will no longer be part of La Republique, and we have demonstrated that La Republique has no legal authority in any circumstances. Arrest our cabinet. Those are the basic sons and daughters that are questioning the legitimacy of La Republique in our territory. And we will not succumb to any intimidation or harassment of our people in the land, because we will use all what we have with our disposal, and we ensure that we maintain the sovereignty and the peace and security of the Southern Cameroon territory. We will not in any circumstances romancing with La Republique. And with those individuals within the Southern Cameroons that stood as a black legs, we will do everything to ensure that peace and security are maintained in the sovereignty. We will no longer be part of La Republique. I am making this statement clear. You know, when the people of Southern Cameroon working together with the Nigerians before becoming independent, they were not being terrorized, but it was friendly discussion, amicably, but they were not being terrorized by the neighboring country, La Republique. And that is why my point on school resumption is clear. We cannot allow a foreign government to administer education to our sons and daughters. Simple. We cannot allow a terrorist organization to organize education system in our territory. And so therefore, we are asking the terrorist government of La Republique to stay in their territory and leave their territory. Bobia is absolutely a terrorist. He hasn't. Since when we engage in this crisis, he has not in a single day stood and asked, what is the problem going on? He has not in a single day. It's almost going how many? Almost getting to 2 years. He has not in a single occasion addressed it. But he has in a single occasion to talk about how he declared war. So, but now we are telling him that he has made the war. We are now at war. So any individual that attempt to behave as though he's not aware of the reality, he's going to face the battle of Waterloo, because our people are more determined than ever before. And if you meet any such individuals that attempt to violate our sovereignty, immediately hand over to our Ambazonian Defense Force for the onward justice and applications. And the coming October 7, any individual that is organizing an election or is participating will be classified as a treason against the sovereignty of Ambaozonian. Any individual, if you want to see what happens, they attempt on the 7th on the 7th, attempt just the piece or effigy of La Republique circulating, you will meet with the worst. This is a fact. Yes. Ambazonia is now a nation, and we will not in any circumstances allow La Republique to behave, and any individual that is collaborating with La Republique. I'm sure you got this message. I'm sure you got the message. And if you want to attempt just a pieces of effigy of La Republique, whatever in the form, whether material, money, or whatever in the form circulating in Southern Cameroon, you will meet the battle of Waterloo. For those who don't have ear, for those who don't have eye, for those who don't can feel, for those who can smell, then attempt. Make sure the message go to every aspect of Ambazonia, even to La Republique neighborhood, to ensure, share the message to the La Republique, so that before any individual attempt, must be aware of the consequences of Ambazonia standing for their sovereignty. We will not in any circumstances tolerate or allow any existence of effigy or any form, material, money, cash, whatever in Southern Cameroon territory. And once any such individual will be taken and be tried by the Ambazonian defense system and teach them what they really mean. Because when people talk about it, we execute that matter. I know many of you want education. So me too as well. You all love education. All of us love education. Without education, I wouldn't be here to be speaking in the first place. I am speaking in a language that is able to be communicated by every individual around the world, the most majority spoken language. But it's because we value education. That doesn't mean that we are not. But we have to think about who is our Minister of Education on behalf of who? A terrorist government terrorizing our people, murdering our brothers and sisters, destroying our property, murdering. So now, henceforth, we need to break any link. Break the link. Break the link. Break the link. Any link that link us with the terrorist Republic, break the links. Break the links. I'm sure you get it. Break the links. Any individual, break the links. Yes, break the links. Anything that link us with La Republic, break the links. That is the philosophy. Break the links. And any individual that attempt to connect the links, we break that particular individual. Break the links. Yes, break the links. No more link with La Republic. And any individual want to see what will happen after it's time to reconnect the link, then he will meet the Battle of Waterloo. So break the links. Break the links. That's the philosophy. Break the links with La Republic. Yes. Break the links. Break the links. Yes. Break the links. If it is breach, break the links. If it is whatever, break the links. And any individual attempt to connect the link will meet the Battle of Waterloo. We have to enforce it. We have to move forward. And this is the time has come. We have the past 56 years cohabiting, but it is the time we break the links. Yes, we break the links. Your neighborhood, break the links that will allow La Republic to penetrate into our soil. And any individual that is trying to collaborate, then that person is, you know, the black legs. The black leg thinks that something for future will happen and they will be an opportunistic. But unfortunately, this moment, there is not a moment of opportunistic. This is a moment of the free Southern Cameroon territory. And so any individuals that will want to stand as an opportunistic individual is more concerned with his own personal opportunity to gain after taking advantages. And so because these opportunistic are they think they are very idealistic and that they can use an opportunity and take their own advantage. And so they try to indirectly smile with you and collaborate with the external force against the people of Ambazonia. But this moment has come and gone. We are here for a long haul. La Republic terrorist organizations, we have to discard them. We have to disband them. We have to crucify them. Because we have got enough. We have used the world community. We have engaged the world community. We have solicited world community. But it seems they lack to understand what we stand for. And so therefore, we must enforce our philosophy. We must enforce it. We must enforce it. So I want to thank those in the Bafut that demonstrate that philosophy. I want to thank those in Bali that demonstrate that philosophy. I want to thank those in Womb that demonstrate that philosophy. I want to thank those in Manime, Manfe, whatever location, those in Boya, those in Muyuka, and Limbe, every part of Ambazonian territory. I applaud you, the Ambazonian defense system, that you all stand for the defense of our people, and that any terrorist government of La Republic will meet the Battle of Waterloo. When you are fighting, fight smart, because they think they are smart, but we are the current generation. So we need to demonstrate our smartness. You need to engage them. You need to plan ahead and acknowledge their what is their plan. Once you understand their plan, you set up the plan and you employ it. Once you employ it, they will trap there like a rat. And that is where you see them seal off and send them in the form of different packages. So we have to be sending them back to La Republique in different form, because this is the moment that we have to package La Republique and send them in a different form. Because when they arrive, they're in a breeding form. So we need to cut them oxygen and send them back without oxygen. This is the moment, this is the time. Ambazonia must be free. Ambazonia must be free. Pick those individuals, cut the oxygen, because that's what makes them breathe. And that is where they're able to penetrate into the Ambazonia. Once you cut the oxygen off and you message them back to where they came from, because we will no longer take any terrorists of La Republique in our sovereign territory. Once you get La Republique, cut the oxygen off and then send in different form, because we've got enough of La Republique. We have got enough. Yes, we've got enough. Our people has long suffering. Our people has long suffering. But this is the moment that we must engage them physically, mentally, physiologically. Show to them that we are competent. Cut the oxygen off, send them back in different form. That is the philosophy. That is how we're going to engage them. Pick them up, cut the oxygen off, and send them back. So that the future ones that they are planning to must be aware that we are cutting oxygen. We were going to cut their oxygen off. That is the plan moving forward. That's the plan moving forward. We cannot become a sovereign nation and they've been terrorized us. Why? 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 So our people, we are free nations. We are at war. And the terrorist organization cannot survive us. We must fight with one spirit. We must fight as one people. We must fight as one nation. We must love our brothers and sisters. And we kick out the enemies that turn to be black legs in our midst. And we let them understand that we are not here for those behavior. We are here to maintain the sovereignty of the people of Ambazonia. So I want to thank those who are fighting bravely, both men and women, and are asking those citizens of the diaspora that our brothers need us more than ever before. If you can rationalize your meal and support the ground zero back home, I'm sure it's a noble gesture that you can do. They just need our collaboration. They need our support. They need our financial aspect more than ever before. And so if you can rationalize your meal and be able to ask how you can be part of this momentum, because while I am speaking, you are part of this momentum. But ask, how can you be able to support? Because they are at home. They need our financial aspect. And that financial aspect is to support them so that they can be able to realize the mission. The mission is at stake. And that is the greatest priority that we must move forward. And the next point that I wanted to talk about is about the Federal Republic of Ambazonian currency. This is the most strategic form that we can break the backbone of La Republique. One, the area that is under our control or our leadership. We need to develop a platform of Ambazonian currency. The purpose is to strategize and test for the possibility of functioning. One, the area that is under our control, we institute our Ambazonian currency. The Ambazonian currency is it doesn't have to be generally accepted, because I know people say, oh, you must have a gold backing. Yes, you must have this nation backing. You must have France backing. You must have Great Britain backing. You must have South Africa backing. No. A legal tender is a money value in which people within a certain locality are accepted as a means of exchange of commodity. So if Nigeria needs euro from Ambazonian territory, Nigeria will have to accept the Ambazonian currency, because that is the only means we can exchange euro with the product of Nigeria. Does that make sense? So we don't have to have a country with their gold. Africa has gold. Why should foreign world tell us their gold should back our currency when our gold comes from Africa? Does that make sense? So in moving forward, we have to have an Ambazonian currency that will be accepted as a legal tender in the Federal Republic of Ambazonian. And those areas that are under our control, we develop a theoretical testing to see effectiveness, how we can strategize and implement the Federal Republic of Ambazonian currency in those areas that are under our control. And then we test for acceptability, that the people of the indigenous within that area, that is the money that they can be willing to exchange for their basic quantity of food. If Mr. J has salt and Mr. B has Maggi cube, for Mr. J to be able to exchange, there is no maximum weight of Maggi cube and salt. So therefore, Mr. J or Joe will be willing to give his Maggi and this, so long as they accept the minimum of exchange is regularized within our software capability. And so if we start developing that skill and strategize our people to understand that the CFA, so long as we rely on the CFA, we are under La Republique control. But when we start immediately and swiftly implementing our own currency, that is when we are letting La Republique that you no longer part of the Southern Cameroon territory. How many of La Republique are going to go arrest? We were going to terrorize any individual that attempt to meddle in our execution of our currency. That is the way moving forward. That is the way moving forward. We need to develop theoretically, that should be the focus. While they are defending the sovereignty of Ambazonian territory, then there should be a study feasibility group that is responsible under the Federal Department of Finance, under the Southern Cameroon or the Federal Republic of Ambazonia Department of Finance. That department will develop measures and study the feasibility and implement those feasibility and test for effectiveness and install the certain locations that are under the control of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. And those areas to be tested for functionality of that currency. And that should be the goal, that should be the prime objectives. And so we let the people immediately, for example, like the area in the forest where they will have where they have citizens languishing there. They already have markets that are already going on, but they're using CFA. Instead, they should be using the Amba currency. I think this is a matter of urgency. If you haven't been ever taught about this, I think it's the priority that we need right now as a prime objective to be immediately start strategizing and implementing right now. Because so long as we still use the CFA, we are the liability of La Republique. We are the liability of La Republique. But once we immediately start implementing our own currency, that we can be able to regularize, and that we can independently regularize those areas that has been effective, and that we will start now enforce it. We will start now enforce it. Because so long as someone with corn are able to go to Manfred for error and able to be accepted as a means of trade, then it's time we have to move forward beyond that Republic philosophy. So long as we still deal with, that is why you see all the French colony, they are liability of France. Why? Because they're still using the French currency that is guaranteed by France. That is why they are not independent. They are stewardship of France. All the colony of France, they are the stewardship of France. And that is why France has to determine what money in circulation should be used by France. That is why the stewardship of the French colony are under the liability of France. And France is able to control all their aspect of life. We need time we do this. It's time we do this. We need to move beyond La Republique. And moving beyond La Republique is immediately rationalizing into this our currency. We don't have to be fiscally in there to control every aspect. But once we have our monetary value in circulation, then we started hitting the pain of La Republique that we are already gone. And so this is what the leadership need to learn now and start working towards that. Otherwise, the current leadership should vacate and allow a new leadership takes over and implement this policy. That is what should be on the table. This is what should be the focus point. What is a government? A government does not rely on one thing and one thing only. Government works on multiple choice of things to make the country become more efficient and effective. We are engaged in war, and that is under the Federal Secretary of War. We are under economic. We are the Secretary of Commerce should be dealing with that. When I use a certain terminology, maybe people are confused about it. So Ambazonia is under the federal structure. So Southern Cameroon now, the Federal Republic of Ambazonian, we have federal structure. So what I call federal secretary, I means the minister of the minister. So we're no longer using the La Republique terminology. We're using the federal structure terminology. So when I am using those terminology, please don't be confused, because some people are wondering what is this guy talking about. But I'm using the federal structured language terminology. So as we are moving forward, we need to move forward in all aspects. While the branch of finance, the Ambazonian Finance Department should be working on the area, the strategy and implementation policy, and look the area that has been effectively under Ambazonian control to be immediately and gradually testing for the effectiveness and feasibility studies to see how the Federal Republic of Ambazonian and those who have, if they haven't been able to design, it is now that they should look, say it, speak out, tell what you are doing, because people are accountable. People are accountable to the citizens. So the citizens want to know what you are doing. And if you can't be accountable, then you don't need to be part of the system. And that is why I'm speaking here, that we have to be accountable, because that is the government that I am seeing. That's the government that I visualize. That's the government I will support. So tell the people, instead of saying these people have been shot, no, tell the people we are in the process of strategizing, implementing an effective monetary system that will be able to implement drastically, and we're doing the testing and study feasibility, how effectively, how we can implement this. That should be the focal point to be debated and let the people know why they think that you are the best system, you are the best choice. You gotta let the people know that is the government of accountability. That's the government that I am supporting. That's the government I am relying on. If we are planning a school, then we need to let them understand time frame. We have a strategic problem. That is the reason why we are dragging behind. And so leadership must begin to focus and begin to strategize strategic position, what they intended. Don't let people in a vacuum, because we don't function in a vacuum. We function in an open environment. That is why I am letting the Republic understand that we are at war. We are at war, and the terrorist organization of La Republique can never, in any circumstances, overcome us in this moment and in this era. So we need Ambazonian currency. That is what we need. Ambazonian currency is the means we can move forward, and we need to start testing those areas within the forest. That this is 100 Ambazonian currency. If you want to buy rice, you can buy it here. If you want to buy a goosey, you can buy it here. If you want to buy this, we start testing for those in the forest. They start testing and feeling the liberty of Ambazonian currency. That is what we need to be doing now. We have them in the forest. Let me test in Ambazonian currency and allow the CNA redundant. That is what I am speaking here. That is how we move forward. We have Ambazonia in the forest. They have cassava. They have arrow. And someone that is cooking arrow in the forest. We know we are still in the forest. Yes. Those that are cooking arrow, we give them 100 Ambazonian. If you need 100, if you need arrow, he will go and buy the arrow. If he need to buy a goosey, he will use his amba and buy a goosey. That's the beginning, the strategize, and that is how we are moving forward. We don't live in a vacuum. We live in a reality. We live in a reality. We live in a reality. And that should be the focal point now, that we need to let the Republic understand that we are moving forward. We are moving forward. We are moving forward. We said, of course, here in the United States, some people that they just want to sit and get money from the government, and they just want to sit. They don't work. But our people are making arrow. They are selling it in the forest, in the midst of the forest. But they don't have the money to exchange. Now we introduce our currency. We test the behavior of our people in the forest. We give them 1 amber. That if a bowl of arrow is 1 amber. If a bowl of a goosey is 1 amber. Now Mama knows that tomorrow I am going to be selling my goosey for amber. That is how we are moving forward. That is how we are preparing ourselves. That is how we are fighting the enemy. We're fighting the enemy, both hands, we are fighting the enemies. At the same time, we are fighting them with the guns and every aspect, punching the enemy. Like we punch in every aspect now. That is why we got to move forward. We got to move beyond this level. You know, we got to move beyond this level. So our currency is very, very strategically, once we start eliminating La Republique and we start letting them understand that we are punching them every angle, economically, policy-wise, every aspect, we let La Republique understand we are moving forward. And there should be a delegation to sit and start developing the theory aspect of a monetary value for the Federal Republic of Ambazonian. And we start doing strategic studies and testing for the ability for it to function. And people begin to assimilate this system and know that we are moving forward. Let's shop around and find a country that can be able to produce Ambazonian currency. Let's shop around. We have South Africa. South Africa can work with us. Any nation can work with us. And so we get a Southern Cameroon Ambazonian currency. That is where we can move forward. We have leave La Republique and let go. That is the way to move forward. Because we are waiting for the United Nations, that is the worst organization in this current century. But we have to bypass them and move forward. Because when we move forward, they will be running behind us. Because we are moving forward. That's the time has come. The time has come, and we must move forward. I want to take a moment to thank all of you that were watching this today. But I can assure you that if we start implementing the strategy of moving forward, then we cannot wait for La Republique. We can never. We cannot. People will always be killed. Yes, that is acceptable. People will always be killed. But people are killed because we have a goal and our mission. Our mission must be accomplished. Our mission must be accomplished. Our central bank domination has been in La Republique, has been in zero. It has been elsewhere. But we can establish in a nation. We can establish our central bank in Ghana. Our central bank can establish in Ghana. We write to the Ghanaian that we intend to implement our banking system. We ask Ghana for housing our central bank. We ask Ghana for our central bank to be stationed in Ghana. We ask South Africa, if South Africa can host one of our TV stations, they can be able to host our central bank. And that we test the effectiveness and implement these sound features. It doesn't matter. We don't have to have our central bank in Ambazonia, but that can be transferred as soon as we eradicate the Republic out of our territory. And then we can move forward. Yes, this is the philosophy that we need to get. While we are doing whatever we're doing, we should be also have a broad spectrum of strategies. We have to have a broad spectrum of strategy where we are supporting the Armed Defense Force and we try to integrate them, try to transform them to a more robust defense system one can ever found. At the same time, we are working on Ambazonian currency. We ask South Africa, we ask Ghana, that can we establish our currency for our sovereignty to begin circulating. And we're testing the feasibility of the studies, an area that we think is to be more efficient. That is the time we are moving forward. We have to bypass the reality. I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are watching. And we are at the war. And the terrorist organization, La Republique, thinks they're too smart. But we are more smarter than them. But if we work in collaborations, love one another, and we can overcome. I want to take a moment to thank all of you for watching. This is Daniel speaking and communicating the effectiveness of moving forward with the Federal Republic of Ambazonian. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.